Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. Today, we're joining you from Memphis, where Mr. Freeze is walking around in shorts and a T-shirt. Yeah, he acts like he owns this place now.
That was kind of anticlimactic.
No, because the heat miser will be here Sunday.
I was walking around in shorts and a T-shirt a week ago, and then, go
Don't
figure.
remind Joe of the heat miser. He has nightmares about him.
Whoa. Yeah, those guys are freaky. Anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. Yeah, I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And it is nippy out there, you guys. You know what? It's a good day to go do something indoors.
I have to agree with you.
Well, that's what we're going to be doing as soon as we get out of this place. We're heading back over to ShadowCon and Anime BluesCon Winter Remix. So
Absolutely.
Well, they wanted a winter remix. They got it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's partly brilliant, and then also it's a little risky because what if they get iced in? What if I don't like depending on weather for our event.
No. We are hit usually at a very nice, median temperature. Nice fall weather.
Yeah, the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention's in November. You could either be in shorts or a parka. You just don't know, but it's
or both.
Very
we
often.
have
both
done
the
both.
same
We have
weekend.
done both. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, guys, speaking of breaking things that are happening right now, later in the show, we're going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett. We're up to episode 2. It's funny how I didn't, I couldn't have cared less about this show, and now I'm like, this might be some of my favorite stuff ever. So it's funny how that works.
There's a specific sequence of scenes in this latest episode that I think may have been some of the best Star Wars that's ever been put to film.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of outer space, Allan, you've got some space. Well, you've got space news of a wide variety, and this is no longer of this is what's coming in the future. This is more or less what we're doing right now, especially with regards to the James Webb telescope, but also space mining is kind of it's getting ready to happen. So
It's a thing.
It's a very nerd-heavy episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be nerd heavy. But can I ask you guys something? I want, and I didn't warn you about this. I like to throw these things at you blind.
Right.
I don't know if this is a confession or something, but I'm horrified to admit that I am just okay. You know the show Jackass?
Yeah.
It just cracks me. I went down a rabbit hole the other day on YouTube watching a bunch of their videos, and there's a new movie, I guess, coming out, Jackass Forever, February 2nd. I'm really embarrassed to admit how funny this is.
I'm a huge Johnny Knoxville fan. I'm sorry. I like him when he tries to pretend to be an actor. I like when he's getting hit in the face and other regions with various things that he shouldn't be. I'm a big fan of all of that stuff. There's something about taking that everybody gets hurt in America's Funniest Videos to that extra level where we're going to end up hurting ourselves strictly for your entertainment.
How have they not been sued out of existence,
though? They have been sued. They have been arrested.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
All right. See, I used to work spring break in a very southern resort. And I've already lived through everything they can possibly think
So for
of.
you, it's a drinking game whenever you hear the words, hey, guys, watch this.
It's just kind of look at this and they go, let me tell you about those guys from Wisconsin.
I always figured Allan was one of the guys at Action Park, but
Oh, I heard that's that dangerous amusement park.
Yeah,
but
if you ever get a chance to, there's a documentary on it called Class Action Park. I think it's on HBO Max.
I'd like
it's
to see
really
that.
good.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's coming up, and I'm like, okay, I draw the line, though. I don't know that I'm going to pay money to see this.
Oh, no, wait.
Because I feel like I shouldn't be contributing financially.
If I remember
to this,
correctly, I think it's coming to HBO Max either day and date or 45 days later. You can wait 45 days. There's plenty of videos to tide you over till then.
Yeah.
But
sometimes they get a little vulgar, which I don't like, but just the dumb, in some of the stuff. I mean, but it is dangerous, too. One guy... if I saw it correctly, he jumped onto a pile of cactuses. Like, okay, how do you not get hurt? No, it was the new guy. It was the new spoiler. It was from the new trailer and everything like that. But
again, being from the great state of Texas, no, it doesn't end well. I will tell you now.
Well,
does anything about being from Texas end well?
Yeah.
Yeah, being from there.
Before we put this to bed, though, I did want to roundtable a question. Is this good for society or bad? Like,
No,
there's already
it is
enough
not good.
dumb people out there.
I'm a big fan of Charles Darwin.
Oh, okay. There you go.
So, in my mind, it's a good thing.
You're saying it thins the herd?
I am very much thinking that we are overpopulated.
Okay.
Or it could be kind of a sign of what the Roman Empire did with bread and circuses.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Part of it is if it illustrates, sometimes we don't recognize our own stupidity or our own, our own shortcomings. But when you see it there boldly across the screen, it might make you go,
all right,
maybe we ought to straighten up our acts.
They make me feel smarter.
Yeah.
Why am I laughing at a guy kissing a scorpion?
All right, that's good for you. It's not good for people that think that is an instructional video.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Yeah, or I can do better than that.
No.
Based on some off-air discussions, I'm going to disagree with you, Alan. But we're going to keep those off the air.
No.
All right. Well, we'd love to know what you think. Go to geektankradio.com or go to our Geek Tank Radio Facebook page and weigh in. Let us know what you think. But anyway, let's elevate the discussion. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Alan has got all sorts of science news for us.
Geek Tank Radio.
People of Earth, I am Lur, conqueror of your planet. Q screams. You will now remove your skulls and play dodgeball with them for my amusement.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
I mean, it sounds reasonable. He's in charge now.
That doesn't seem physically possible.
Anyway, welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass, who's always giving us those top-notch rejoinders.
Mm-hmm. I want to go ahead and I want to take a moment, though, Joe, to I want to celebrate you for a moment.
Oh, great. Okay.
A few weeks back, me and Alan were in here by ourselves. And I didn't realize just how hard it is to get a clean open.
Oh, yeah.
It's difficult.
Especially working with you guys. I mean, that's a distraction enough. So, yeah, getting clean opens is not easy. And we I think just by you mentioning that, we've already undercut this opening, haven't we?
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, Alan, hey, it's time for science.
Saboteur.
Hail science!
I was waiting.
I was waiting for the hot key there. So
Well, I was watching a smirk, and I'm going, we're not quite there yet. All right. Wow.
And tell me this isn't another one of your teases. Actually, I know it's not because I know the subjects you're going to talk about. So,
well, then
sometimes Alan likes to mislead.
Unless it was a bait and switch.
Yeah, don't be bait and switch.
Because we talked about those forever in the break room.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
so what do you got for us today?
It's basically, Joe, I never bait and switch you. I always allow you to run rampant with your own expectations.
All right, well, let's go. We're eating up your time. So.
I know.
That's okay.
All right, let's talk about rogue planets.
Okay.
All right. This has been a mainstay staple of science fiction for ever?
Rogue planets, are those planets from the wrong side of the street?
Yes.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they are planets that are you ready? Off their leash.
Okay, I was going to say
they have a solar system.
They don't have a consistent orbit.
No, they're just wandering around.
They're just free. Okay.
Yeah. They march to the beat of their own drum.
They do. They obey
Kind of like Star-Lord's dad.
Yeah. It's interesting how that would be possible because I feel like the gravity of like Jupiter or the gravity of something or I don't know.
Oh, you mean like the gravity of Earth, which might have eaten its sister planet and created us?
Well, I'm just saying it seems like something would draw me. So you say that, but it could be along the lines of. Now I'm already interrupting you. It could be. It could
just
be
letting
along
the man
the
do
lines
his
of,
science.
Well, it could be along the lines of something. I'm just picturing something swirling in a vortex or something.
Nope.
It might be going in an oval shape. It might go out there.
Toilets.
But eventually, it's going to get sucked in.
Nope.
Right. It may take a long time. Huh.
Nope.
Okay. I don't know.
The original count when I started following the story was somewhere around 70.
Right.
And now with more ultraviolet, more UV scanning of the skyways, they're pushing over 200 now.
We're talking about things that are the size of maybe Pluto, and they're floating around in our solar system.
No, we're talking about stuff the size of us to Jupiter.
Okay.
I am not talking planetoids yet.
Can we go rogue if we want to? No, it's probably a bad idea. It would mess up our seasons.
Well, that whole being frozen to death in space.
We already don't like the weather here right now.
I mean, I wouldn't mind visiting Alpha Centauri or
would.
just for kicks. But okay, go ahead, Alan.
It's all right because I knew how this topic was going to go.
Yeah.
All right, because I'm going to go back to the University of Colorado. We talked about this a while back, that you now today can sign up for college classes in space geology and space mining.
I want to invest in that. Can we invest yet?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm letting you know because we're starting. All right. Well,
but you got to do it with
ask me,
NFTs
Joe,
and Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Bit Planet.
There you go.
Okay. You're always asking me, Joe, is this theoretical or is it happening today?
Why?
Right?
Yeah.
You can go to school for this right now, today. We're looking at Mars, and I'm going to look over at Max and go, you might vacation there. You might even live there. Look at Joe and go, it's too late for us.
Yeah.
However,
I don't want to live on Mars.
We are now.
I like Earth.
This is how into this we are now. We are now starting to isolate asteroids, planetoids, and other bodies, and we're now starting to figure out what they're made of and what they're worth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we were talking about planetoids like Pluto.
Right.
Pluto is not necessarily a planet, not by fact that when we discovered it, but the fact that there are thousands of more bodies about just like it out there past Pluto.
Right.
So Pluto had to be demoted or our solar system was going to grow by several hundred more planets.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Let's
really,
talk about
okay.
16 Psych. Let's talk about 16 Psych. This is another one that is a little on the out there in the asteroid belt. It's been identified for a long time. We've known about this one for a while. But
That's the name, Psych. P-S-Y-C-H. 16. What a dumb name.
Well, back in those days, they were trying to. We didn't know there were this many of them.
Don't these eggheads at NASA have any better?
Well, they have
more
other
creative names?
designations for it, but this is the one originally called 16 Psych.
Kind of like Yavin 4.
Yeah, how are you supposed to feel good about yourself as a planet with a stupid name like Psych 16?
Well, he was a psych major.
Like Mordor.
I was thinking it was more along. It was the joke planet.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Well, it ain't joking now because it's walking around.
God, we're old.
By the way, what are you worth? I'm only worth $10,000 quadrillion.
In what way? By the resources that are there?
And the fact that it is made of nickel and it's made of iron. And it could possibly also have gold deposits.
I want to forge a planet, Allan.
Well, you are not the only one. So suddenly we have gone from I find it very funny, in the next 10 years, we're going to have gone from the fear that some space rock is going to fall out of the sky and land on Earth. And now we're going to be like the carnivorous planet.
So it's going to be Pac-Man.
Yeah, if a space rock gets anywhere near us, we're going to go grab it, and we're going to mine it.
It's like fishing. Yeah, you're like,
why are they all so far away?
Yeah, but it's kind of like, it's coming by. It's getting closer. Get ready. Jump out and grab it.
Allan, here at News Talk 98.9 The Roar with our 100,000-watt tower, I'm always conscious of the fact that we're getting new listeners and people that haven't listened to us before. I just want to update them. Allan has brought us space news over time that has given, we've basically learned that gold and certain gold especially is the one that jumps out at you, but there are some minerals and there are some metals and things that are not from Earth. They landed in a meteor or they crashed to Earth, and so it's not native to this planet, which is one of the reasons that some of these asteroids and some of these things are so interesting, because they're out there and it's like there's a lot of valuable resources out there. So
all right, well,
it's time to go get some.
Well, all right. Well, let's pick on Star Wars for a moment.
Okay.
Let's pick on one of our favorite ones.
We're gonna praise it later. So
I'm going to trigger Joe when you have the Grand Emperor has this massive fleet hidden that nobody can find.
Oh yeah, that was
where did those resources come from?
Where did the crew come from? Anyway, that was. Don't get me triggered on.
No, I'm triggering you on where did the resources come from?
Yeah,
because if we're going to start colonizing Mars, let's be honest, we've got fertile ground within reach. Mm-hmm. And again, I look at Max. Within your lifetime, you might be buying Martian mangoes. Yeah. It could happen. Yeah. The Chinese just managed on the dark side of the moon to grow some plants.
Right.
I'm very excited about that.
That's because you just want to film. It came from the intergalactic market.
Yes, you are so correct. However, I'm just pointing out that of, a certain Martian potato field is not out of the question at this point.
Right.
I still don't want to eat those potatoes.
I understand. I don't want Matt Damon to fix them for me, but I'm just saying we have passed in the very few short years we've been talking about this. We've passed from it's a theory to it's a theory that you can get a degree in to now we're actually building equipment, looking forward to this, and we're sizing up donors.
Right.
This is a thing. It's about to happen.
That in and of itself, the fact that we've basically been talking about this since its theoretical stages, and now that just makes me feel like we've been on the air too long, Allan.
Well, Allan,
short period of time, man.
Just to show you how I've evolved as a human being, listening to your space, or your science segments. Here's because at the beginning, if you've listened to Geek Tank, when we started almost 7 years ago, you will know that anything that Allan would bring us, I'd always turn it into how is Putin going to weaponize it? How are we going to? Well, my mindset about all this space mining, and not just space mining, but growing crops out there, doing industry out there, maybe doing metallurgy up, in space with zero gravity. My thought was, okay, I'm a woodworker. I like to use a lathe. It makes a lot of sawdust. Well, I'm not going to use a lathe in my living room because I'm going to cover my living room with sawdust. Right, if I do it outside, and then I get rid of the sawdust, then I come inside with the thing that I've made.
Right.
No, it's clean and it's interesting. Well, if you do all of these industries out in space, we're no longer polluting the planet. We're no longer, kicking up chemicals and pollution and garbage inside the home, you could say, inside our atmosphere. So I'm like, I'm all for it.
Well,
now.
let's
go do everything out there.
Exactly. Let's go
outside,
somewhere
people,
where the effect is different. So again, if we're going to colonize Mars,
right,
global warming on Mars would not be a bad thing.
You're kind of trying to engineer that, actually, right?
Well, that's called terraforming.
Yep. Right. Yeah, which still that creeps me out a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of So this is all right for those young people out there, and I get to use that phrase these days. For you young folks under
20 years ago,
I know. For you folks under the age of 35 or so, of something to do with space is very much possible to happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is interesting stuff. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to continue our space talk, and then, of course, we're going to steer over to the Book of Boba Fett.
Geek Tank Radio.
As a jock, it is my duty to give nerds a hard time.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
I mean, I don't know that he has to look at it that way, Allan, but anyway. And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. Hey, just a reminder, when we get out of here, you guys, if you're, we encourage you to geek out this weekend. There's, for the first time in memory, we've got ShadowCon and Anime BluesCon Winter Remix happening the same weekend. However, what are you going to do? There's ShadowCon has longer hours. Winter Remix.
It's a 2-day event.
It's a 2-day event. Maybe you were here yesterday. I don't know. Maybe we already saw you. But Winter Remix is 10 to 6. So you could, in theory, do both events if you really wanted to do it. So I'm gonna go for it. Hopefully next year they won't have any scheduling issues. But if you want to check it out, go to Anime BluesCon Winter Remix, their Facebook page. They're going to be at the Landers Center.
Right.
And
which we love the Landers Center.
Yeah, the Landers Center. The people there are great. It's a nice facility. And the ShadowCon is going to be at the Clarion. That's near the airport. It used to be the Holiday Inn. It used to be like, 6 different... I don't even know how many different names.
It was the Hotel on Democrat.
The Hotel on Democrat Road, yeah. So check it out, and we'll be there if you want to say hello to us.
Because there was a time when it didn't seem to have any kind of, brand affiliation.
Yeah.
But it also didn't seem to have heat that year either.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, no, I think they really did a good job on that. And if you go to either of these events, we want more Bad Geek confessions, so make sure you give us your Bad Geek confession when you do that.
Stop by the MCFC table or the Geek Tank table, whatever we've got set up at any given time, and say, I need paper. I got to confess.
Yeah, we're going to have 2.
And then throw your friends under the bus.
Absolutely. We're going to have dual events. So, yeah, and if you want to do a confession, remember, it's a ways off. It's not till November, but you do get 2 free passes to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, November 11th through 13th. So, boy, you can plan ahead. 10 months ahead.
All right, guys,
I got free tickets. I got to make sure.
Yeah.
It's not that far away.
Stop saying that, Allan.
All right. Well, hey, speaking of things that aren't that far away, Allan, well, I guess it is far away now. The James Webb Telescope, we didn't even touch on that. That was another part of the space news, which
it's going well. The good news is there's no bad news.
Because they said there was about 1,000 things that have to go right, and they can't just go up and fix this thing. For those that don't know, the James Webb Telescope is going to be about 100 times more powerful than the Hubble, which that just blows my mind. And it's got a bunch of new type of sensing capability. It can look at a planet's. It's got infrared. It's got radio detection. It's got all this stuff where it can really look at a planet and zero in and tell you like what the atmosphere is made out of and things like that. And that's going to be deployed where it's about 1 million miles from Earth. So it's not like we just send up the shuttle to fix it. If it's out on its own.
It's kind of on its own. So the big thing that needed to happen was, of course, everything is solar powered.
Yeah.
Fundamentally. So you had to make sure that the sun shields were actually up and properly aligned and working. And then there's a whole lot of mirrors that kind of direct and control how the telescope is going to operate. And those all had to deploy.
It's like the honeycomb shape, too, which is
and this was, and when we say deploy, I mean, picture playing your favorite video game with a 15-minute delay.
Yeah, when you enter in an instruction, it's not going to just instantly react.
You really have to kind of precog what is going to happen, how it's going to react, and what should happen. And massive kudos. So far, this thing has gone off without a hitch. And that is years of planning. That's a lot of sleepless nights. And, the telescope is making its way out to its deployment site.
Allan, don't undersell that, though. You said years of planning. This took 20 years. Could you imagine working on something for 20 years and then you get to launch day?
This is a career.
This is like half your life. I mean, this is, I can't imagine that. 20 years.
There are a number of people that will retire after this thing finally deploys because they have been on this project
since the beginning.
Fundamentally, their entire career will culminate in that first image back from the James Webb.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't get hit by a meteor or something.
Well, we don't need Zerg backing over it or something. Now this thing doesn't deploy until it gets to the other side of the moon. And this has got to get, as we like to say in the South, a fair piece out there.
See,
translation, about 1 million miles.
I thought it's past the moon, Allan, because this thing's going like 30,000 miles an hour.
Just to give people perspective, it's going to be well past the moon. So, I mean, our closest body to us, we're putting a telescope on the other side of that.
Because the moon's 200,000 miles away or something?
Well, and picture trying to control this thing.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to get a rover to run around on the moon. Oh. And then we got rovers over on Mars.
Yeah.
So we're sending signals back and forth. And here we're going to take a very expensive, very precise telescope. We're going to stick it in a rocket, and we're going to try to build it like a giant Lego set on its way out to 1 million miles away from us.
Oh, yeah. And those sun shields are flexible, too.
I just hope whoever's at the controls is better than that physicist that was downtown with the drones.
So,
because you crashed 3 of them into the river.
Yeah.
Well, fair play to everybody on the James Webb project, because this is just a logistical, I can't even call it a nightmare. I don't think there's a good enough word for the sleeplessness these people have gone through.
Which level did Dante hit when he found out, about precision?
Gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but so far, everything has gone like it's supposed to go, and this thing is wandering deeper and deeper out away from the Earth and is penultimately going to deploy. And, You know, it won't be that much longer. It'll only be another month or two before they have this thing completely configured, set up, and sending us images.
The other thing,
our first image is going to be 2 Martians mooning us.
Well, I was going to say, if there's life out there, if there's other civilizations, this is the telescope that's going to see it. I mean, if not, I don't know what else we can do. I mean, it's like, 100 times more powerful than Hubble. That's interesting.
Wow.
So.
And Hubble was that times again anything we'd have been able to do on Earth.
Yeah.
So, welcome to technology. As we've said many times, it's a theory for a little while, and then you look around and go, wow, not only is it happening, it happened, and we're on the other side of it.
Yeah.
The technologies that brought us to this point are now, as we like to talk about on Tool Talk, a lot of the technologies they were developing 20 years ago have wandered into other industries.
Sure. Yeah.
The metallurgy, the study, the solar capabilities, the advances in batteries, the advances in power management, the advances in ceramic control of power. These are all things that are not just science news anymore.
No, these detecting capabilities of the James Webb telescope soon are going to be an app on our smartphone. We're going to have the same thing. I can point my phone at Allan and see a X-ray of what's going on in his brain.
You don't want to see that.
No. All right. Well, we're definitely going to be keeping up to date with the James Webb telescope. We'll be following that career. I don't know. We'll be following that mission, I should say, with great interest. But I guess it's going to be a couple months or so before we start seeing images. They got to get everything deployed and processed and all that good stuff.
There's a lot to do.
Well, Brandon, speaking of science, there's no other franchise showcases realistic space science better than Star Wars. So
absolutely. No.
And I said that with a straight face. No, what? But
you almost got there. Yeah.
Well,
I'm not going to argue with you that much in the fact that Star Wars does show outer space as gritty.
Yeah.
It's not clean. Well,
it's
now
not
they're
pretty.
showing it that way.
It's not pretty.
Well, Brandon, we got the Book of Boba Fett came out, and none of us were like super,
No, it was like, all right.
excited, but we were.
This will tide us over until the next Marvel show or the next, season of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And wow.
No,
that's all I'm going to say before we go to break is wow.
Yeah.
Aquaman's dad is awesome.
Well, Jon Favreau, once again, because I was looking at the credits on this one, and it sounds like it's mostly he's doing most of the heavy lifting on this show. And
I don't doubt it.
Jon Favreau is between him and Dave Filoni, they're giving us some of the best Star Wars content out there. But I have to say, Brandon, it's interesting what I think. The main takeaway I'm getting from this is there's no cut and dry thing. It's not like the bad guys are over here and the good guys are over here. I'm actually rooting for the sand people right now.
It's kind of turning a one-dimensional antagonist, and you're kind of adding more dimension to them. I really like what this series is doing in that respect.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. You're seeing the point of view, and I learned something. I didn't realize that the Tusken Raiders had actual claim to Tatooine. Yeah. They said that's their ancestral territory.
The Dune Sea belongs to the tribes of the Tuscans.
It's very interesting. So we're gonna unpack that a little bit when we come back. You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to look at Boba Fett episode 2.
Geek Tank Radio.
We better not risk another frontal assault. That rabbit's dynamite.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
I just want to see Allan give that rabbit a frontal assault. I bet you. Let's see how tough you are, Allan.
I didn't want to give a Star Wars rejoinder because that would have been what we'd be expecting. Or to quote Monty Python, no one expects the Monty Python rejoinder for Star Wars.
That's right.
Okay.
Absolutely. Boy, one of our worst, sloppiest intros ever, but we're sticking to it.
You're welcome.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and the chattery Max behind the glass. Guys.
I'm just dying laughing that, this week I did have fried rabbit.
Yeah. This weekend, I bet you. So we're going to be between the crew here, we're going to be at ShadowCon and Anime Blues Con, respectively. They're both going on this weekend. And, come say hello and talk to us. One of the things I think that's going to be a heavy topic of conversation, Brandon, is the new Boba Fett show on Disney Plus.
Well, it might be at ShadowCon. I don't know if the anime kids are going to care about what you think about Boba Fett.
Well, we'll see. But Brandon, one of the great things about you is you know a lot of the inside stuff. Like some of the things we were watching on the Book of Boba Fett, like episodes 1 and 2.
Yeah.
They were interesting, but I didn't realize their significance. You apparently a lot of this stuff is actually much more important in Star Wars lore than we thought.
Well, one of the things I want to go ahead and go on record for is that episode 2 of Book of Boba Fett definitely tells you that you need to watch your deleted scenes. You need to pay attention to your deleted scenes, even though you've never seen them in the flow of the movie. Those will come back to bite you.
You're talking about like on special features of a DVD or something, or.
If you ever have a chance to watch deleted scenes from an epic franchise, watch them.
Okay.
Because you never know when those characters are going to show back up. Like when, characters show up and they just seem like a random couple in a bar being harassed by Nikto bounty hunters or a biker gang. That's Fixer and Cammy, who you met at Tashi Station, which is where they're at in Book of Boba Fett. That's Tashi Station. They are two of Luke's best friends in the deleted scene where he goes to Tashi Station to meet with Biggs. They're there. They're not the same actors, but they're the same characters. That's Cammy and Fixer.
By the way, there's a lot of spoilers in this discussion. Are you saying that's where he was going to get the power converters?
Yes. Yes.
And he was going to hang out with his no-count useless friends. These are the no-count useless friends.
He was letting his girlfriend get harassed by these bikers and stuff. Yeah. And
can we just go ahead and say it was awesome to see the fact that a swoop gang basically wears the same kind of colors that a modern day biker gang wears. That's kind of awesome.
Yeah. And then, well, go ahead, Brandon, because there's a lot of stuff in here. And
then of course, we when the twins show up, they're Jabba's cousins. Awesome. It's alluded to that their father is the Hutt that we dealt with in the early seasons of Clone Wars, the one who's very flamboyant.
Yeah, he's more. And his sister's quieter, but she's more deadly, right? She's
the dangerous,
more violent. So, but I was, we've had 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and I kept waiting. When are we going to see Dave Filoni's version of a live action Hutt and or Jon Favreau's? In fairness, and then we finally got it in this episode, which is those 2 were funny.
They were great. I think that was a fun scene all the way around.
Mm-hmm. I like how they were processing and they had drums or they had like music that preceded them, and it was very ominous. And it was like, then they have these guys carrying them around. How'd you like to haul those 2 around on your shoulders? It's like,
and here's the thing, it is definitely an insult to their servants because we have repulsor lifts.
Yeah, why can't they just go on a zero gravity thing? Yeah, right. Exactly. So it's just to show that they're superior.
That they have power.
Right.
That I can afford to pay people or own people to carry me around.
Yeah, I don't think they're getting paid real well.
And and let's just talk about how Fett, his whole deal. He walks everywhere, and of course everybody keeps asking where his litter is, which that's the thing where they're carted around, and he's just kind of like, nah. But I will say that I want to buy his Gamorrean Guards Hawaiian shirts and khakis, just because they seem like the kind of. They remind me of Guido and Nunzio from Robert Asprin's Myth series.
Yes. Yeah.
It's perfect. But also we got to meet Black Chrysanthemum in this episode, who he first appeared in the Marvel Star Wars comics. I think it was a Darth Vader issue back in 2015. He's a bounty hunter. He has worked with Boba Fett before. He fought Chewbacca in the gladiator pits, which Boba Fett references in the episode when he refers to him as a gladiator. He was also the bounty hunter / assassin that is sent after Obi-Wan at one point to kill him on Tatooine between episodes 3 and 4.
Yeah, we've seen him, right? We've seen him in animated form as well. So, he looked tough.
Yeah. But, it was to see him walk out from behind them in live action, it was just like, oh.
In that gritty form, in that kind of gritty street level Star Wars that we've been seeing with Mandalorian, and even starting in Rogue One. It's just cool seeing this this tone that they're setting.
Yeah, we've seen the pristine, we've seen the transparent steel, Imperial stuff all over the place. But even when we saw Tatooine in A New Hope, and when we saw it in the prequels, Yeah, it's a desert world, but there's something about Mandalorian and now Book of Boba Fett where you can almost feel the heat. You can feel the grittiness of the sand while you're watching it.
Yeah, talk about, I hate sand. I mean, you want to take a shower after you watch, because especially when he comes out of the Sarlacc pit, you're like, oh my gosh, he's covered in slime and sand.
He's been scarlacked. Yeah. I mean, he's all covered in digestive juices.
And I don't know, I don't want to run our time too much because there's so much I want to talk about from this episode, but the vision quest that he went on for, after he got a lizard basically
when that thing goes up his nose.
Thrown up his nose.
Yeah.
Very, very intricate. It's about cutting his ties from his past. The big tree is Django. The little tree is him. The eyes in the tree are the Jawas who scavenged and stole his armor. When he looks into the reflection in his father's helmet during that vision, he doesn't see Django's face. He sees his own, which is very reminiscent of when Luke went into the tree on Dagobah and fought Vader in the stuff.
That is interesting.
It's and of course it's very much the it is the vision quest. I mean, we've seen it in all sorts of mainly Western based media, but they nail it.
I had a question for you, Brandon, though, because you know about all the lore and everything. So he goes out there. He has this kind of vision, like you said. He goes to a tree. The tree branches wrap themselves around him.
Right.
And this tree is kind of like an oasis.
Yeah.
Well, does this tree really exist? It's got to exist because he brought a branch
He brought
back.
a branch back.
So is this like a symbol for the life source out there or something?
I feel what this is actually going to be is it's very much a connection to the former Dune scene, because they say that Tatooine used to be a water planet.
That's a deep cut too, because it used to be. Yeah, then somebody if they destroyed it through mining or something.
Basically,
I don't know. Yeah.
But now we've got he had to have brought the branch back from somewhere,
right?
And so I mean it has to exist in some form or fashion. But this wouldn't be the first time that you had something where someone pulled something out of a vision quest, and it became tangible.
You see, I'm very interested in where this branch came from, because they all apparently make their weapons out of this, and then it's like a ritual. You hit a certain level, and then you make your weapon.
What's really kind of cool is that, of course, the ceremonial dance that they do at the end after he's been robed and everything in the garb of the Tusken is very reminiscent of a haka, which is a Maori ritual dance. And there's video of Tamura Morrison partaking in one of those. And it's very, it's very tribal, but it also hits on the fact that, there's some religious allegory here too, where it looks like Fett is trying to bring. I mean, we see in the flashbacks, he talks about bringing the tribes together. And now we see him trying to do it with the crime families. Everything. He's wanting to build past their differences. So I'm kind of interested in where that's going.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's just admit they have one of the greatest sequences in Star Wars history with that train siege.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just, from the moment it starts, I was on the edge of my seat, just like staring at the screen, going, "Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!"
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like a Western hype.
Yeah.
So I do want to say one thing though, because you made me think of something, Brandon. When he goes and gets that branch and comes back with it, it's not unlike the way Padawan will build their lightsaber.
Right.
They have to go to the mines. They have to go through a challenge. They get what is the dice? What is
the Kyber crystal?
Kyber crystal, and they have to come back, and then they construct their weapon out of that. It's the same thing here.
We saw him do it with the gaffy stick, and then he was welcomed into the tribe, that Tusken tribe.
Yeah. So,
anyway. I will guarantee you that one thing that we're going to probably focus on in more of these Star Wars series as we go are Force sensitives without training. We heard when Qui-Gon spoke about them in Phantom Menace, but now we're going to get to see, because I will guarantee you that warrior who is with that Tusken tribe,
we're pretty sure it's a female too.
Yes.
Because
she's
kicking some Kadiddle-Hoffer. Yeah. Well, tell us about, because that was a great sequence. Like you said, there's a train that goes through, and those what is that the Pike Syndicate? Those guys with we've seen them in the cartoons, and they came through. They just start shooting at the sand people.
Yeah, they just And of course, the Sand People, they have the Tusken Raiders lay claim to that land. That's their ancestral land, and you're running through it. So of course they are trying to defend it. Man, how many times are we going to watch one of their banthas get shot?
Yeah, why don't they get a bantha barricade or something? It's like they know it's coming. So I mean, yeah.
And of course, I want to throw out the obligatory joke out there. It's like, did you notice that they were combing the desert to hide their tracks?
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
They walk in single file, but they
hide
their tracks.
Well, there's a lot of depth. There's a lot of depth. There's symbolism. There's character development.
We could literally talk about every episode of this for like an entire hour every week and still just barely scratch the surface.
Yeah. Well, next week I think we should weigh in again. But it's a nice. I don't even want to say it's a surprise anymore because now we're started getting used to anything that Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau touches in Star Wars it works. Man.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'm waiting for the day where I'm disappointed, but still not disappointed.
I don't know that I've ever been bored. I've liked every episode of The Mandalorian. Clone Wars, I could binge watch that.
I think there's only one episode of Mandalorian that I'm not a huge fan of, but I'm a huge fan of all the characters that were in it.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, we hope you're a huge fan of the characters that have been on Geek Tank Radio today. Anyway, have fun with that. But hey, come over to ShadowCon and Anime Blues Con. As soon as we get out of here, that's where we're heading. So check it out.